Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I am Riwo, and I am joined by Katie and Barb and Bonnie sharing our Canadian gal pick. So, Bonnie already talked about Lucy Maud Montgomery, and Katie already talked about Viola Desmond, and Barb talked about Mary Ann Shadd Cary.
Yep,
There we go. Really thought I was going to break there in a second. But before we dive back in to these wonderful, wonderful ladies of history, I want to get to know something random about our gal pals. I want to know who is your favorite Canadian celebrity? Comic, YouTuber, actor, actress, musician? Canadians.
You always ask about musicians or celebrities.
I know.
And then I have to Google it.
Yeah.
And it's making me realize how rotten we are here in the United States because we just take these people and we're
Yes.
they're
And now they're ours.
They're
Yeah.
ours now. They're ours
Canadian.
now. So,
Yes.
on my Google list, I
Yeah.
have to say,
Yeah.
I love Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
he's
He's
just-
from a whole bunch of places.
He's the best.
He's like born in New Zealand.
He's a
Canada.
treasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the real obvious one.
Yes.
My
okay,
kind
yeah.
of weird niche thing
Yeah.
is my obsession with Joshua Jackson
Oh, yeah.
from
yeah.
Dawson's Creek.
I was going to say. Yes.
Oh.
They're classic. Throwback right
He's
there.
So cute.
So cute.
Where's he been?
No
I'm going to
idea.
need to Google him later and see what he's been up to.
I don't even
Hopefully
know.
he's still living on that Dawson's Creek money.
Right?
He probably got a
That
nice
charming rascal.
Right.
Pacey.
Exactly. Yep. Cute
He had
little
a
rebel.
teacher that wanted a relationship. Speaking
Uh-huh.
back to our first episode of the month.
Exactly.
Let's
Yeah.
not.
Little
Let's
hot for teacher. Oh, wait. That was different. Yeah. This is very true.
He's a cutie.
Yeah.
So, and doesn't appreciate Rachel McAdams? She's pretty sweet too.
There you
Very
go.
nice,
Yeah.
very nice.
I like that. No. Perfect.
I have some musicians.
Yes.
And I did the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I could come up with one, probably not someone you guys know, but Shania Twain.
Oh, yeah.
Country,
Oh, totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
so-
Absolutely.
Totally, she probably would have been the first one that popped to mind. But then a couple other acts. I'm an '80s kind of gal, so Bryan Adams.
Yeah. Oh, totally
Canadian.
Canadian. Yep.
Yeah, totally
absolutely.
Canadian.
Yep.
And then Rush. So
Oh, I
there you
forgot they
go.
were Canadian.
They're Canadian.
Oh, that
So
checks.
that shows you. That
Yes.
shows you how varied my
Yeah.
my music tastes are.
There
because
you go.
Country, pop, and then Rush.
And then
in
Rush,
a category
who-
of their own.
Correct. I was going to
Yes.
say Rush is the category
Absolutely.
for Rush.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I dig it. Bonnie, who do you got?
You forgot about Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette's
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
Yes, please.
As a child of the 90s.
Yes. She's also
Yes.
played
Did not
God.
yet know
Yeah.
her feminist rage yet.
Yes.
Alanis Morissette.
That
Yeah.
is a very good one.
Yes, love
I'm
her.
gonna go with Christine
Yeah.
with an H,
Okay.
known on YouTube as Simply Nailogical.
She's from Canada?
She lives in Ottawa, Canada.
Because you've talked about her on the podcast.
Freaking love
Yes.
her.
Okay, tell us
so
more.
much. She started doing nail art tutorials
Yeah.
on YouTube. She wouldn't show her face, and she
Just the nails?
Yep.
Mhm.
and she would just be funny while
Yeah.
she was doing it, while she was building up her confidence, and she
Aw.
went viral in 2016-ish.
Right.
something.
Gotcha. Yeah.
She went to Polish Mountain where she
Oh,
painted
Layers.
layers and layers. So she had 2 inches thick of nail polish on top of each nail.
Oh my
Nice.
goodness.
And she the first time she tried to do it, she didn't wait for it to dry in between each layer, so it melted off her face. So she had to start it again.
Right.
And she has since been back to Clear Polish Mountain.
Clear Polish Mountain. Yes, very nice.
But she did these things, and she's just she was hilarious to watch. And she started doing a scholarship for Canadian students.
Oh, nice.
She's
it's not manicure school, but yeah.
well, just for anything that they wanted to study.
Oh.
And that's what she was using her YouTube money for.
Oh,
And she now has her own nail polish line
sweet.
called Holo Taco, because that's what she would call
Hello, taco.
the holographic top coat. She would call it Holo Taco and then a taco would come across the
Oh,
screen.
very nice.
But yeah, she owns this nail polish company, which I've been.
You've been rocking. Look at
wearing
that.
Very
Sweet.
nice.
all the time.
You are
Very
representing
nice.
not only pride, but
Yes.
Canada. Sorry, I just like saying it wrong.
Asia.
Canada.
But yeah, and for a long time, she was like, "Don't quit your day job," because she's
Right,
waiting
YouTube.
for it to drop
Yeah.
out any
Mhm.
moment, and it hasn't. And she's kind of taken a break from doing, I guess, YouTube on a regular basis. She does some streaming now, where
Gotcha.
she'll play little games and stuff. But she's so freaking adorable. And I
Nice.
love her so much. She's such a they talk, yeah.
I had to look her up because I didn't know who
Christine
she
with
is.
no
yeah.
H?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christine with no H. Christine Rotenberg.
Oh, cute.
I said that with a British accent. I don't think that was right.
It
but,
happens to the best of us.
you know.
But she used to
Seemed
work
right.
for the government.
Ooh.
She kept her day job for a long time. Now I think they work part-time
Okay.
or something now. But yeah, they've increased the scholarships. Every year they've added
Nice.
more, I forget if it's money or numbers of people.
Yeah.
And they've done fundraisers for their local animal shelter
See?
and stuff. And they've got a podcast where they talk about stuff.
Do they talk about nails?
They do talk about nails.
On the podcast? Okay, all right, gotcha. Because it's a visual medium.
But they talk about all kinds of stuff. One of the first couple ones they did, they talked about when they first met,
Aw.
when they were in university, and her partner Ben. They're not married,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
and in Canada you don't really need to be. So they're like,
Sweet.
whatever.
Yeah.
'Cause,
I mean, the
you know,
healthcare's already
healthcare.
free. Yeah, must be nice. Yeah.
So it says, of course, I have to Google her to find out who she is. She has a master's degree in
Mhm.
sociology with a concentration in criminology
Mhm.
from Carleton University.
But she gets her bank on nails.
Right? How did she
She
make
did,
that
would do
transition?
crime statistics
Wow.
for her job.
Oh, wow.
Click clacking.
Right.
Keyword.
In
there's
beautifully
so
polished
much-
nails, yes.
Well,
Mhm.
she's hilarious because she keeps one hand kind of longer,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then keeps the other one kind of short.
Yep.
So she can still functionally do some things.
I've met
But
many
she
a
has-
secretary who will do the same thing.
She has so many just funny things. She had a little, I don't know if you call it a music video. She talked about when you get out of the shower and you have longer nails, your nails, I forget if they curve, they flatten out, so she calls them
Yeah.
duck nails.
Oh, there you go. See, I mean, her and Dolly Parton wrote a song on her nails, so I mean, I could see her writing a song
And
on her
then
nails.
she's had funerals for when she's broken a nail.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She did an experiment
was a
to see how
character.
long she painted her toes to see how long the nail polish would last.
Right, yeah.
So
Which
that
is
is the
something
weirdest thing because nail polish on your fingernails, you go through that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Your toenails, I mean, it just
It'll
lasts
be
for
on you till
friggin'
you're
ever.
84.
That's exactly right.
No, it was something
Exactly.
it lasted 9 months or something
that's
ridiculous.
crazy.
That sounds
That's
about right.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with my segue. The closest I can think of is "Damn Canadians Funny." Okay, so yeah, no, actually, mine. I'll start with a very bold statement. How about this? You ready for a bold statement on the Gals Guide podcast? I feel the world owes a debt to Canada for the sheer number of brilliant comedians that they have birthed.
Very nice.
If you have any doubt, I have a short list that I have put together. So we've got Jim Carrey, we've got John Candy, we've got Martin Short, we've got Mike Myers, we've got Eugene and Dan Levy, we've got Dan
Love them.
Aykroyd, we've got Phil Hartman, Rick Moranis, Michael J. Fox, Matthew Perry, rest in peace still on that one, Colin Mockery, every single one of the kids in the hall. Okay, I won't name each one of them, but you should know who they are because they're amazing. The previously mentioned Ryan Reynolds as well. And if you had any doubt on the funniness that comes out of Canada, the dude who started Saturday Night Live, Lorne Michaels, Canadian.
It's like the U.S. isn't even trying here.
It's like we're not funny because
we are not funny.
they are so much more funnier, and I appreciate it and I love it.
very fun.
So a lot of the comedians are either on TV sketch shows like SCTV
Yeah,
or
Second City, that
SNL,
kind of
right?
stuff,
Or
yeah.
movies or stand-up. And when I was a kid, that was like my maple syrup was basically comedy shows. It was a
Maple
constant
syrup, look at
flow
that.
in my child. See what I did there?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, very
Well,
nice.
there was also a lot of maple syrup. We lived on a street that had maple syrup trees that were tapped.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had lots of
Maple
it.
syrup trees.
We did.
The maple trees.
The maple
Yep.
trees.
No,
They're the maple syrup trees. They all had
Okay.
little buckets on them.
Aw.
That's how we could identify them. We didn't know the tree on its own, only if it had a little receptacle.
Your husband, when he
Of the
listens
little
to this, he's going to be like, what the hell?
He still tries to have me figure out I don't know what the trees are. Those are the trees. They're just, they're happy. But my brother and I were like obsessed with stand-up comedy, and especially like international stand-up comedy as well. So we'd go weekly to the Blockbuster, no surprise, and we'd get a movie, and we'd always get a stand-up special too. But we also had HBO, so we'd watch One Night Stand, or we'd watch whatever the special was that was out there. The best thing was the early days of Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Comedy Central did the segments. They showed little, like 2-3 minute clips from either stand-up specials or from movies. It was wonderful. That's how we knew about Jim Carrey before In Living Color. So as soon as the In Living Color like advertisements came, we're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna watch this. We totally know this guy from Comedy Central, as well as Marlon Wayans and all the Wayans from Comedy Central as well too. But makes no mistake about it, I had a shit childhood, but there was a lot of comedy in it. So a lot of the comedy and the stand-up like really, really got me through it. So I can't say what like the entry point into us finding comedy and stand-up was, but SCTV was one of the early staples that got us in there. So it's the first thing that I kind of think of when I think of comedy. So SCTV stands for Second City Television. Has anybody ever seen SCTV before?
Yep.
Okay, all right, gotcha. It's Canadian Saturday Night Live, is what it is.
Yeah.
But Second City is an improv group, and it's still in existence today. It's in Chicago. It's in New York. They also do live theater and classes, and a lot of brilliant comedians, not all of them
Absolutely.
Canadian, but a lot of them have come through Second City. There's also one in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So in the fair Toronto, where we lay our scene, sorry, I'm trying to get a little Romeo and Juliet there was an upcoming comedian named Catherine O'Hara. So I'm going to talk about Catherine O'Hara. She didn't know
Moira.
it then.
Sorry, I
Moira,
can't
yes,
stop.
exactly. You're good. She didn't know it then, but she would be a major happiness factor in my life. I don't think she still knows it now, but she's a major
After
happiness
this, she will.
Yeah.
in my life. Yes.
Everyone tag Catherine O'Hara.
Exactly. And say that totally makes Riwo like over the moon happy. So Catherine O'Hara, you might know her better as
Moira.
Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek, or maybe the mom in Beetlejuice, or maybe the mom in Home Alone, or some of us might have learned that that's the same person today.
Today. It was today.
Right? Exactly.
I was today years old.
This
when I
is
found that out.
this is not, you're not alone in this, so don't worry. So growing up, Catherine's whole family was funny, like every single one of them. She said in the New Yorker, quote, "Being funny was highly encouraged in our family. My dad would tell jokes and my mom would tell stories and not intimidate.
Intimate.
No, pretend to be.
Imitate.
Imitate. Yes, sorry, there you go. Yes, imitate everyone in the stories. I think everyone is born with a sense of humor, but your life can beat it out of you, sadly, or you can be lucky enough to just grow up in it. So, yeah, so funny family. So she started at Toronto Second City. She was an understudy for Gilda Radner.
Oh my gosh.
So IMDb credits Gilda as being Catherine O'Hara's mentor, but it's actually cuter than that. Her
There's
brother...
right behind you.
Is it really? Her brother was dating Gilda Radner.
Oh my goodness.
And her brother was also working at Second City. So Gilda would also be in the house, would come to dinner, and all of that kind of good stuff. So she was not only Gilda's kind of mentor, Catherine's... basically, Gilda was Catherine's mentor. She also was the understudy for Gilda. So when Gilda left for Saturday Night Live, Catherine O'Hara took over and was in that spot. So Catherine became the regular performer on the TV show, the SCTV. It aired in Canada, various places in the United States. It was on NBC for a while. It was on Cinemax. I could have sworn it was on Nick at Night. That's where I remember.
Oh, yeah.
But that wasn't coming up in my research, so I don't know. But I mean, at one point it was owned by the same company, so possible. But SCTV starred Catherine O'Hara, Andrea Martin, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy, Rick Moranis, Harold Ramis, Martin Short, and Dave Thomas.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that was the...
What a lineup.
I know, right? Exactly. Every single one of them, brilliant. So that one started 2 years after Saturday Night Live did. I always just thought it was funnier, actually. I thought it was braver. I thought it was more of a team collaboration. And they didn't do the same character really that many times.
Yeah,
It was very,
no.
very fresh in what they were trying. So SCTV first aired in Canada in 1976. It was on air until 1984. So it actually had
Yep,
a pretty long run on it. Catherine was mostly on, but sometimes off. So it was like an on and off sort of thing. Whether or not she was doing a movie, whether she was doing something else. She was almost on SNL. It was like basically the summer she interviewed, she was going to be on SNL. And then SCTV was going to be picked up by NBC. And she said, screw that, I'm going back. So she never actually like was on a live show of SNL. She decided to go back to SCTV. So SCTV is what made her famous in Canada. Like, it was hard to go somewhere and people could recognize her. She also won an Emmy for her writing on the show.
Awesome.
Right? Exactly.
Awesome.
So she'd do TV movies, she would do guest appearances, she'd do movies, and she'd do voiceover work. But a lot of times, if you look at the credits, she's with her other SCTV co-stars. So
They did projects together.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like, she's either with somebody, she's either with John Candy, or she's
Yeah.
with Joe Flaherty, or she's with Eugene Levy quite a bit. She's with
Yeah.
Eugene Levy as
when-
well.
When you have that quality
Yeah. That
of a
chemistry.
crew,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Why would you go anywhere else?
Right, exactly. And plus, it's just fun. It's just like, well, I don't know if the movie will be any good, but I get to hang out with,
With my
you know,
peeps.
yeah, with somebody I know that we're going to be able to like improv on. Why not?
I'm
Cool.
just picturing John Candy in that van. And
Right.
Home Alone?
Oh my god.
I've got stories about that day.
Uh-huh.
Some behind the scenes goodness
Yeah.
of that. But in 1988, she made Beetlejuice. Everybody knows
Yep.
Beetlejuice,
Yep.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. This is the start of two wonderful relationships. One of them is working with Tim Burton, right?
Yep.
So Catherine and Tim have worked together on Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, where she's the voice of Sally. I think people forget that she's the voice of Sally. Frankenweenie, and then also the upcoming Beetlejuice 2 that is coming.
Yeah.
Tim Burton was also set to direct the movie A Series of Unfortunate Events, but he didn't do it, but Catherine's still in it. The other wonderful relationship that happened while filming Beetlejuice is Tim Burton encouraged his production designer, Bo Welch, to ask Catherine out on a date.
Aw.
Right? So Bo is a production designer. He worked on Lost Boys, Ghostbusters 2, Edward Scissorhands, The Birdcage, Men in Black, Thor, and A Series of Unfortunate Events, and many, many, many more. The
He's
date
got a
turned
quite
out.
nice resume as well.
I don't.
Mhm.
I hate name dropping, but when the movies are
Yeah,
that
yeah,
good,
yeah.
it's like this is what the man does. And if you think of production design, you're like, so that's stellar. But it turns out the date was really good because the two of them got married. They have 2 kids. They are still together.
Oh,
so
awesome.
right,
Awesome.
exactly. It's adorable. The next big movie after Beetlejuice was in 1990, and it was Home Alone. So this was a role that she and creator John Hughes really worried about because they thought her character could be extremely hated. It is a mom who forgets her kid twice.
Yes.
So they really, really worked on this character and they really, really worried about it. I loved her in that role, and the fact that Macaulay Culkin still calls her mom
Cute.
is the most adorable thing. Actually, she was with him when he got his star on the Walk of Fame in 2023.
And that was his breakout, right? That was his
yes,
breakout
well,
role.
actually, he was also in Uncle Buck. Uncle
Okay,
Buck was
yeah.
the who is this kid?
Yeah.
And on the set of Uncle Buck is where the premise for Home Alone came from.
Very fun.
So it was John Candy
Yeah.
and John Hughes and Macaulay Culkin, who they all called Mac, were going with this, well, if I was trapped in a house, here's how I'd protect it. And that's how torturing and basically kind of bullying burglars was the premise that they all were riffing on during the set of Uncle Buck.
Very cool.
But the world really kind of knew Macaulay Culkin more for Home Alone because it was
Yeah. It was. It was.
Exactly. The other part is when I have more John Candy-ness sort of thing. So John Candy, do you want to hear the story of
I
the...
know it, but please.
Oh, you do know the
yeah.
story? So the story is that John Candy was basically the lucky charm to John Hughes. They were in almost all of his movies. If it wasn't Molly Ringwald, it was fucking, John Candy was basically in a John Hughes movie. John Candy was busy. He was doing a whole bunch of things, but he could only get him for one day, like one solid day. So they decided, okay, we're just going to put him in this U-Haul van and we're just going to improv, because they didn't know if they were even going to be able to get him. So that whole thing is just kind of improv.
It's hysterical.
And it's lovely. And John Hughes just let him keep going and let him keep, because he just would love being in the same spot with him. But Catherine talks about, she had to remember she's trying to get to her son. So she couldn't be having a good time, but she loved John Candy. John Candy was her favorite. John Candy actually died on her birthday, and she did the eulogy, and so it was everything. So being in that scene, to be like, no, I have to be focused, I have to be angry, I have to be like, I got to get to my son, but it's so cute in that moment.
They play very well off of each other.
And they've been together since SCTV, so it just absolutely makes sense. So I will give you a little John Candy pop quiz. When he died, how old do you think he was?
32, 33?
Gotcha.
34.
Okay.
I was going to say 32 too.
Oh, there you go. Bonnie, do you have a guess?
We're gonna do the Price is Right and go 35.
He was 43.
Oh, wow.
I thought he was younger.
I thought he was older. I thought he was like in his 60s or 70s when he
No,
died.
he
And
was
he was
young.
a baby. He was 43.
Yeah, there were all those wonderful, comedians who died at a very young age.
Yeah, our
and I
John
thought-
Belushi's of it all.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought they were all like young 30s.
Right.
That's why that was
The
my guess.
80s got a lot of our
Yeah.
brilliant comedians. Yes. So then Catherine met Christopher Guest. We entered the Christopher Guest kind of era. So Waiting for Guffman and the mockumentaries that would follow of A Mighty Wind, Best in Show, which is probably one of Bonnie's favorite because it's about
very
dogs.
good.
So, right. And For Your Consideration are the Christopher Guest ones. He would direct and he would star, and he kind of hired her. They were already filming Waiting for Guffman, and she showed up and she was watching kind of like the dailies of what everybody else was kind of riffing on, and she got super intimidated. She's like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm up to this caliber. And I'm like, are you Catherine fucking O'Hara? Of course you are up to the caliber, but that's just me. But what his advice was to her when she arrived on set, said, don't worry about being funny. Just be in the scene. And I'm like, yeah, because she's naturally going to be funny.
Yeah.
But yes, so then came Katie's favorite in 2015, the sleeper hit Schitt's Creek.
So good.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't watched it, highly recommend. It's so amazing.
So funny.
I also
Get past the first episode.
Yeah.
Yes, get like 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
It's the reverse Beverly Hillbillies. It's the idea, instead of country bumpkins coming into money, it's people who have money having to get into the country. So it's the reverse.
In the banana stand.
The banana stand, exactly. In the banana stand. But I also recommend watching Best Wishes, Warmest Regards, which is the documentary of how the whole show got created. It's really a wonderful behind the scenes to kind of see how this little tiny thing kind of like blossomed and found its audience. Because, I mean, some of it was COVID. Some of us like really didn't find it until we were stuck in a house and went,
right.
I need to not pick a new thing every night. I need like a full season of thing to get into. And they were trapped in a hotel and we were all trapped in our house. And it was lovely. But seeing Catherine and Eugene together in anything is like a freaking treat. They are so cute. So they've been working together since 1974.
Right.
So, and there is this thing where they tried dating once and they went, no, we're friends.
Right,
No,
right.
don't worry about it. Like, it's all good. Yeah. But I never tire of seeing them. So the Schitt's Creek is a series that's created by Eugene and his son, Dan Levy. And it's won nearly everything. Like every single award it could possibly win. Catherine herself won 6 Canadian acting awards just for Schitt's Creek. So the show's later season would sweep like all of the categories for like every good reason. And it's a great show.
And it's so quotable.
Right, exactly. Ew, David.
Right.
Ew.
Fold the cheese.
Fold
Fold
in
in the
Fold
cheese.
it in.
I don't know how.
Fold it in.
I don't know
I
how I can
can't
explain
tell you
it to
everything.
you, David.
Exactly. This is very true. So there's this beautiful Guardian article that it was recorded over Zoom. So it even has in there that Catherine was worried that basically the Zoom link would stop working. And she, like, can you hear me now? You know, like there was a lot of awkwardness within the interview. But there was a moment she talked about when the entire collective internet found out that Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek is Kevin's mom from Home Alone, the same person, and the internet kind of freaked out about it. And she said, wasn't that funny? It was fun to read the comments online, but really, I never really think anybody knows me from anything.
Aww.
So that was like her kind of, you know, her take back from it. But on personal note for me, I think of Catherine as my TV mom. I know I always joke at Carrie Fisher, she's my space mom. She's out in the universe, you know, doing the spacey things. But Catherine's done like quite a bit of movies, and I do love, you know, like the Beetlejuice and the Home Alone of it. But I always watch those on my TV. So, like, Catherine's always on my TV. So she's kind of my TV mom. But I find her, she's bold, she's sweet, she's perfectly imperfect, she's honest, and she's just damn funny. But what I love most is her comic timing.
Yep.
Whether she has a line or it's just a look.
Yeah.
It's perfectly timed, and I don't know how she does it every single, but it must be just being in the moment and reacting to things. But I don't think she gets enough credit for her timing, because that is something that you just feel in the moment and are brave enough to just be wrong about if it doesn't work, and it works all the time. She has had a postage stamp.
Nice.
There was Canadian postage stamps, the Great Canadian Comedians. Do you want to know who was on this list?
Oh my. Yeah.
Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, Martin Short, and Oliver Gudeman. I did not Google, have never heard of. I'm assuming very important Canadian comedian. She also has a star on Canadians Walk of Fame.
Nice. Very nice.
She does an incredible Katharine Hepburn impersonation.
Oh, funny.
You can Google it. It is on YouTube. It's from SCTV in the early 70s, and it's just spot on voice, character, inflection, personality, all of it. It's not a caricature. It's just an adorable. But what she's saying as Katharine Hepburn, that's where the funny is. It's about her first time, by the way. That's what she's talking about. Catherine O'Hara is also a really good singer. She sang a lot in SCTV, and every now and again she will sing more in other stuff. But her sister is actually a professional singer.
Yep.
So Mary Margaret O'Hara is the professional singer in the family. But Catherine sings in many projects. She does have a wonderful songwriting ability as well. She wrote 2 songs for the movie The Last Polka. And also, remember We Are the World? Remember that?
Yep.
There was a whole album. And on the album, there is another song by the Northern Lights, which is basically the Canada version of the supergroup, and Catherine O'Hara is on that.
Very cool.
So she's on the We Are the World album.
So she made an appearance on The Masked Singer yet then?
Not that I know of.
I know you like to guess.
I do like to guess, but those bitches have gotten problematic on there. But she has not been on yet. But I think I would recognize that voice in 3 Notes. Wait, I'm confusing my other Fox music shows. But the last thing that I have is she is an OC. She is an Officer of the Order of Canada. She is an OC, which is a person who has been demonstrated as an outstanding level of talent in their service to Canadians. She won it in 2017. I don't know if you call her a dame. She's an OC.
No, I think that has to come from the Queen.
Yeah.
This one was started by the Queen. Queen Elizabeth II started the Order of Canada, but I don't think it's in that same knight, sir, dame thing. But she's an OC, so I'll take it. Exactly. That is Catherine O'Hara. And you were today years old.
I mean, I see it now. Like when you
Children!
said it,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know,
I mean, to be
You
fair,
see her at
I
the bottom
haven't
of the
seen
steps.
Schitt's Creek yet.
You've got to see
I
it.
found out like earlier this year that the Fold the Cheese is from
Fold the
that,
cheese.
and that's been like on a meme everywhere. I'm like, okay, I gotta
Uh-huh.
watch that.
Yep.
So then I found
brilliant.
out that she was in it, and I was like, okay.
Yes.
So I hadn't seen Schitt's Creek, but
Yes.
I only found out like this year.
There you go. That's
That's
yeah.
right.
There you go. If anybody hasn't and they're not sure, look for the YouTube clip where she's selling wine. Do you know the one?
Yes.
That whole scene of her making a commercial about the most horrible wine in existence is brilliant. And that will kind of be like, oh, okay, if you can get through that, the whole series. And I feel bad because that's more about Moira than it is about the actual like plot of the show. But
I love it
it's
too
so
when she's helping
good.
them put on a play. Isn't that what it is?
Oh
And
my
she's like trying to
gosh. Oh my gosh.
take it
just-
over the top, very
Yes.
Broadway, and it's like
Right.
a local play. So good.
Yeah, it's just so many good quotableness from it. So yes, there you go. That is Catherine O'Hara and all that kind of good stuff. So yes.
Love her.
Dun,
Love her.
dun, 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 dun.
Schitt's
Yes.
Creek probably has to be, I would say that is my favorite all-time series.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I've rewatched it 3 times.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
started
getting there.
rewatching it a second
Yes.
time, and it's just, every episode, it's just classic. So
Exactly. It is also very Canadian. It's making fun, but it's all in love, and it's lighthearted, but it has a meaning to it, but it's also mean-spirited sometimes. Like, it's
Yep.
all of those
Yep.
really kind of complicated relationships, but being open with, yeah, I don't know what fold in the cheese is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just great. And, yeah, perfect comedy timing.
Yes.
So,
yes, I think she uplifts the other actors around her as well. Like in that
Yeah.
series, I just think,
She's the mom.
yeah, and she carries it well. Carries it well.
Exactly. Should I wrap it up for Canada Month? Dun, 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 dun.
Do it.
All right, that wraps up Canada Month. So we're not sure what's going to happen next. We might just have a week
Like
off.
next month.
Yeah.
That sounds too big.
I know. Okay, so next month in podcast
We
world.
don't know what's happening
Right.
next month
Right.
in podcast world,
In
which
the
is
pod-
August.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. The
got
August
you.
world. Yes, there we go. So we might just be off for like a week and then come back for India month. We might also have a month off and return in September. So stay tuned for our social media updates to find out because I'm going to be gone on a retreat for 2 weeks in August, and it's very hard to launch an episode when I don't have internet where I'm going. So this will be really fun. So seriously, stay tuned to our social media. We will let you know. The podcast will certainly return with more Women of History. So in the meantime, catch up on our 7 previous seasons and see what gals you might have missed. So thanks for listening. Want to learn about more Women of History? Gals Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.